The time is 1:60 a.m. and this is music that fits into the time we've saved. Ever since February, I've been gradually collecting up moments here and there and setting them aside, wrapped in newspaper and stacked in the back of an old suitcase. I think you've perhaps been doing the same. Well, it's already time to unwrap it. I'm going to go on a bit of a journey, and I invite you to come with me. You may find that you even want to walk with me as I speak, as I guide you, or perhaps you'd prefer to just be still and imagine. I think the best thing to do first is just start. And I'd invite you now to step outside with me. Let's just look around a bit, get our bearings. It's dark now after all. The radio's just been tuned. Let's just look around. What can you see? Perhaps look at the sky.
In the blink of the moon.
And so let's start walking. I'm going to just head towards a bit more space away from the roads. We can forget about them. Don't worry, I'll talk more about the whole thing later. It's just nice to get some space, some distance. What can you see? We're just coming up to a path, and I think I'm going to step right across it and head down towards the water. I wonder how far out the tide is. Perhaps it's going around in circles at the moment, unsure whether to come in or go out. The time is now 1:64. On the way towards the beach, I have paused briefly to acknowledge another lone pedestrian, a worm, shimmering in the dampness of the early morning, glimmering in the moonlight that refracts through the cold air. I look at him, and he blinks at me. "What time is it?" he asks. But I don't think time is really his concern, rather the lack of it. We maintain eye contact for what felt like hours, but really maybe seconds, who knows? And somewhere else, in the same second, as the gates of hell open, one can hear the tortured screams. And the time now is 1:78 a.m. I think it is, at least. There's about 30 seconds lag on this broadcast, so I'm trying to guess what it is for you. It adds another dimension to this time thing. I suppose the lag must be because I'm walking around and I've already got to the sea, so it's the sound, that is, has got quite a long way to travel. But anyway, so I look past the worm, ignoring him. Perhaps that's a little rude. He does seem a bit dejected, but I barely notice, because beyond him, the lazily swinging beam from a distant lighthouse meanders assuredly, swinging around like the flecks of melted sugar which spindle and fluff from a candy floss machine, but in slow motion, as though paused in one rotation, frozen, and repeated forever. The lighthouse offers some protection, yes, but not really to me, and definitely not to the worm. The time now is 1:84 a.m. and the worm leaves me, eager to wriggle through his remaining gasps on the earth. I don't mind his leaving. I instead follow a cat towards a gate. I'm aware that this is beginning to sound a little like Peter and the Wolf. I assure you that that is not my intention, though wolves are always near. It just so happens that when you walk around outside, often your only companions are animals, particularly in the night, particularly in the secret hour. These creatures of the night join you on your noctambulatory wanderings. Or should that be wanderings? Now that I think on it, I realise that I might have been wrong before. Was it actually a worm that I saw? The light plays tricks on us. Perhaps it was a snake, or a shoelace, or a piece of spaghetti soaked through in the gloomy rain of the afternoon. But anyway, the worm, for it was actually a worm, wriggles away, and I look to find another creature to follow. A cat. Maybe a panther. The cat won't leave me. So, thanks for staying this far. This actually brings us to the first and indeed final ad break. All good art is, after all, an advertisement for something.
Creamy baked calendar with crisp versatility. The man began
You'll never miss a special offer when you shop online, so it's easy to stick to your bricks. Tesco.ie, delighted to sponsor Congratulations.
Sponsored by GiftGaff. GiftGaff. GiftGaff.
Try something new today. Sponsored by GiftGaff. GiftGaff.
This is M&S for you. Do it now.
In this hour, it is as though somehow everything exists, the future and the past, simultaneously. Honestly, I really wasn't sure what would happen during that ad break, and I feel like I should explain it to you. You see, I have an old radio alarm clock here in my room next to me, and it was set to go off at that time when the ad break was due. The time, of course, as we know, quick maths here, is 1:89 a.m. Being in this hour, though, the radio somehow caught hold of sounds from everywhere, every time. Well, not every time, every radio time, some from the past, some from the future. Maybe you recognized some of those adverts. I wouldn't expect you to recognize them all, though. Anyway, as I continue walking along the beach, I have actually got another piece to share with you, and these are some of Aaron's words on it. Unlike traditional orchestrations, I aim to develop instrumentations, including a highly triadic nonlinearity that contextualizes all notions of melodic contours. I coined the term perception relationship music to describe my most radical approaches to theoretical composition. I have found that heterophonic systems in combination with technological semitones enable me to discontinuously rebar brand new meanings in a highly large scale and extremely tonal way. My latest piece begins with a rather collaborative element noise, before postmodernistically transforming the existing transdisciplinary material into a more creatively choral state, a process I term serialistically fragmentary improvising. We're going to hear an excerpt from that now. And while we're on the topic that is of this, perhaps I ought to tell you what it is about. So, it has come to my attention that every year we have this horrible gaping chasm of time, somewhere in late October, a whole hour unlike any other. The time is now 1:91 a.m. And this hour, it's not celebrated. It's hardly even acknowledged, apart from a couple of half-hearted reminders to change the clocks, and some mild celebration at getting that extra hour of sleep. Well, not for you, not this year. I mean, I wanted to fill this time with something better than sleep. It almost goes without saying, though I'm going to say it anyway, that I'm incredibly grateful to all of the composers involved in this, including the one who only sent me his material about 15 minutes ago. I've been planning this for a little while, not that long, it has to be said, and people were very keen, which was lovely. Anyway, thank you, if you're listening, composers. So I'm going to continue my walk briefly, away from the beach, actually. It is quite cold here, and quite windy. I think beaches tend to be cooler because they are not so sheltered from things like, well, by things like buildings. So anyway, I'm going to walk up this small path off the beach, and I come to some shops, and now obviously they're closed. It's not even a real time of the day, but anyway, so I walk past these shops, and let me tell you about something different for a moment. I have a long-standing collaborator who is mostly a video artist, and it was actually from her that I came up with the idea of this event. She asked if she could make something to fill the hour, and I specifically said, well, it can't be video, obviously. So I told her that, yes, of course, make something, but it mustn't be video art, because, I mean, there's every other hour ever can have video art in it, but I think this 1 hour perhaps doesn't need that. So anyway, she sent me some instructions and asked me to read them out, and I'll kind of intersperse them throughout this. Now that we've got a bit of time to ourselves, and I do say the word time carefully, the time now is 1:94 a.m. Time, after all, is very fragile at the moment. But perhaps we have enough time to search for someone. Find the boy who cried wolf. Give him a weapon. You can all lie now. I feel like I spend too much time writing biographies.
The audience trusted
Perhaps
me.
it's better to just make them up on the spot. Speak them.
And I wonder if you trust me the
No one really
same
reads them anyway.
now. Because you know that
Particularly not when they're just
I'm going to go on to
lists
say
of
something that
people and
requires you to have
places.
listened to me now.
everyone has people and places they can list.
And obviously you could just press pause at any time, but I think that you know
When I
that
was,
what is coming is
I think
more
about 16,
important than what has been
I was
before.
given a Kindle for my birthday.
And that's why you continue to listen.
And after a few months, went on holiday with my family
You see, the art in
to
filibustering,
Portugal. And I took
it's
the
not
Kindle with
about
me.
what you say, it's about what
And
you imply you
something
will
happened
say.
to it on the plane,
It's about
which I've
establishing
never really heard of happening before.
an
So maybe it was
expectation
just
of the future.
luck. Maybe it wasn't because of the plane. Who knows?
That your audience
But while I was
believes
on the plane,
you can realise and believes that
the
you are going to
Kindle
provide
managed
for them.
to jumble up.
If
all
you
of the
lose their
books.
trust, you might as well
It was
say
like
nothing, because they won't
Each page was
engage,
a
they won't
playing
listen,
card
and they
they'd
won't
been
be
shuffled.
listening even to the thing that you
Perhaps
say
it was because
after.
of the pressure, or maybe I hadn't put it on airplane mode.
It's like
I
if
don't know.
the boy who cried wolf didn't just
But
cry
what
wolf,
was interesting was
but
that
spent
when I got
10
off the plane
minutes
and started
talking
trying to
about
read a book,
the grass and the
and
trees that he could
immediately
see
found
in the
that all of the
distance,
pages were jumbled up
and
between
how
different
his
books.
clothes were uncomfortable
I didn't
because his shoes
stop.
didn't fit.
I didn't throw it away.
and
I didn't.
The discomfort in his feet
Well, I
drew
found it more
attention to
interesting.
discomfort in his arms because the sleeves were slightly
Was-
too tight.
It was as if by
And if the
jumbling
boy
it up, I think
Talked about that,
I have no idea how many
for
books
so long
were on it. At least 100.
that he lost
By
the
jumbling
trust
up all
of
of
the
these different
villagers.
stories,
They wouldn't be listening when he cried.
I hadn't destroyed them. I'd made something new.
Now he dealt with this in a different way, which is that
And
he
maybe it was because
didn't
it was
set
a
up anything,
holiday
he
and I
just-
was in Portugal, and it was
he just
exciting.
jumped straight in there with help,
But
wolf,
that was
or whatever he said
one of
exactly.
the most
I can't remember.
interesting things I've read, or at least then
And it
one of the most
worked
interesting things that I had read.
To a point,
And I
it
thought,
worked a little
this
bit
is fantastic.
when the villagers trusted him, but there came a point
It's such a shame
again
I didn't
where
think
he
of
lost
this
their trust.
myself.
And I wonder
I think a lot of composing is
if maybe he'd
trying
been
to force yourself
better
to
at
come up
filibustering.
with
Maybe if he'd listened to this,
interesting ideas
maybe he'd have worked out a better way of
and
doing that didn't end with
never quite knowing where they've come from,
Well,
and if they're
normally
obviously
ending.
from luck or somewhere else. Hello. You may be thinking that this is a little strange. At first, all new things are, I suppose. Perhaps this isn't really new, but you know. I'd like you to put that feeling aside for a little while, just until we become acquainted. You see, I don't know what else you've been listening to today. I don't know you at all, as it should be. I am the composer after all. Yes, it's strange hearing the composer speak directly to you, isn't it? But perhaps it's just a vocalist speaking the words of the composer. Perhaps not. This is really me. And even if it was a vocalist speaking my words, there's no difference really. It's a common phenomenon that people fall in love by listening to podcasts, or what they think of as love at least. Perhaps they're not even really podcasts. Sorry, I am still walking, I promise. It's very cold though, and it's better to take my mind off it by talking about other things. It's so cold, even the birds have winter coats on. I lost track of the cat, by the way. Perhaps it was a famous cat. I should have asked for its autograph. It really is a marvel that I'm able to live stream from my phone like this. What an evil finger technology pokes through our skins. The time is now 100 minutes past 1 in the morning. I've just found myself at a pumpkin patch. It's very strange how we are haunted. The time now is 107 minutes past 1. Finally dissipating around dawn, the listener is left unrefreshed, uneasy, and anxious for the future. On my way back from the cardboard quarry, I notice a church. The spire holds my attention for a few moments. How do they train the mice to change the clocks that high? It's late now. 115 minutes past 1. Not long to go. I think I'll start walking home. Thanks for staying up with me. It's not often that we get a chance to spend this time that we've been saving up. It's 2 o'clock. Once again, thank you for joining me, and thanks to all the composers for contributing your time and work. The hour is up, and you can go to sleep now. Goodbye.